Now that I've been, I can verify that this is actually pretty misleading. The real thing is actually much larger than this.
Holy shit, we went to Epic Universe. So I'll start off, we were there, we did 2 days in the park. It was pretty much a 3-day trip, 3.5 day, but we stayed at Stella Nova, which we are repping with the drink glasses. I just want to say great bartenders at this hotel. But no, all the drinks we had there were great. And Jonathan was a great bartender. The night we got there, it was actually very slow for a Saturday. There was not a lot of people around the hotel. So we got to hang out and have some drinks. And then we had a dinner reservation at Farmeritaville, which is the main fine dining or full service dining restaurant over in Helios. So we drove over to Helios. Farmeritaville was great. Do you remember what you had? I know I had the salmon, which was some of the best salmon I've ever had.
I had the steak kebabs. Oh, I had the cheesecake, the pistachio cheesecake for dessert.
When we were done, we went up to Bar Helios, which is at the top floor of the hotel, also overlooking the park. We were hoping to get in, but they said they were full. On the bright side, even though we didn't get into Bar Helios, they do have a section of the observation deck outside next to the bar where you could still go out and see the park, and we absolutely did. And it was amazing at night just to see the lights, and I was familiar with some of the stuff. I couldn't even get her to look out the hotel window because our room faced the park, and it was far enough away during the daylight that you couldn't make, if you didn't know what you're looking for, you weren't going to make anything out. And again, I don't consider that a spoiler. To me, that was just kind of the foreplay, the first look. I avoided spoilers completely before this trip. I had read people's generalized reviews. I didn't read any specifics about rides or attractions. And I sure as hell didn't watch videos or look at photos. I didn't want to see anything first person from a park goer.
A little insider tip, if you do drive over to Helios to partake in any of the amenities at that hotel, be sure not to stay more than 4 hours and to keep your receipt showing that you paid or spent at least $50 so that you can have your parking validated.
Our first day in the park started with a pro and a con, I guess a little bit both depending how you look at it, and that was rain. When you walk up to this park, it's absolutely beautiful. They did a great job with the layout, the whole entrance into Celestial Park, obviously the giant Kronos Tower, but as you walk up to the gate, it's just gorgeous, and they do literally have what I can only describe as heavenly music, background music up at the front.
Celestial music.
Celestial.
Ethereal,
celestial. The background music through the entire park, through every single section, was chef's kiss, just fantastic. The scores themselves really complemented the areas that they were playing them in, and this literally being our first impression walking up to the gates, it was just kind of an ethereal, celestial, like, we're here. So I am the nerd and the planner, so I did the research. I knew that hotel guests like us have 1 hour early entry that started at 10. Every piece of logic and everything that I've read and absolutely agreed with is everyone is going to go straight to Nintendo Land. There's 2 A-list rides over there. People are just going to fill up. And so our loose plan was like, we're going to hit Stardust Racers first. And it was a 10-minute wait, maybe 15. We waited for the front row. That tacked on a few minutes. I had seen Stardust from the aerial photos and the concept art, so I expected something a little more sterile, a little more sci-fi, atomic, spacey, I guess, as far as the theming goes. Kind of a little bit more like the Stella Nova hotel was. And I was wrong, and I was very happy about it because it was more like turn of the century.
Steampunk Art Nouveau.
There you go. It's always a word. I can never think.
The words you were looking for were it wasn't austere the way I was expecting, because sterile isn't quite right. Austere. Almost a juxtaposition in color and theming with regard to you're about to get on this really, really fast, really, really thrilling ride, but everything surrounding you is very beautiful and very calm.
I don't know how else to describe it. It's got kind of a playful emotion to it, because in the first half, the trains kind of crisscross, like not close, but they both do a hop in opposite directions a couple of times and zip past each other in a curve. After the second launch is when it's like it's gone from playfulness to like actual competitive. All right, you want to get serious, and then the way the maneuvers go, it just gets more intense. And I've never been on any kind of dueling coaster with this feel to it. And that was even struggling to see through the rain because we were constantly covering our eyes. I'm like, this is my first time. I'm not going to let the rain get to me. So it was just flashes of the train, and I'm rambling, but it was really, really a one-of-a-kind experience. It's the first any kind of dueling coaster I've ever seen or ridden from that perspective. And if you're a coaster nerd, if you're an acer, if you're into that kind of thing, then this is going to shoot to the top of your list in a heartbeat. By the time we got to Nintendo, it was still raining a little bit, but it was starting to slow down, and we got that perfect first reveal. We walked up the top of the escalator through the warp pipe, came out on the landing, and it was just all the feels. Super Nintendo was our generation. Like when you were, a 10, 11, 12-year-old kid, like that was the system to have. Oh, I don't have the band. So our plan was to go to Yoshi because we knew the other two rides would be just crazy busy at that time, and they were, because that's where everybody goes. It was maybe a 15-minute wait. We didn't wait very long in line, but it had a very, very cool, playful indoor queue. This is definitely a ride for kids. It's a family ride, but it was just really, really well tricked out.
It's so cute though, y'all. On-ride music is the actual music from the game, and so I'm over singing along because I'm a complete and total dork, but I had a great time. They knocked it out of the park, in my humble opinion. They are absolutely going to get my money when we go back for the little band to do all the little things.
First impression, Nintendo World, amazing. After that, we bounced out of there because it was getting busy. The park had just opened. We were going to come back for the other rides later, so we headed over to Isle of Berk. This is another one where, kind of like Harry Potter, I don't really have an emotional attachment. It boils down to dragons exist and Vikings exist, and they used to be enemies, but now they're friends, and you're caught up. And honestly, that's all you need to know. Fire Drill is the water ride. It's actually the only water ride in the park, and since we were still wet from rain, we decided that would be the perfect time. Also, it was a straight walk on. There was no wait. I've not seen a water ride like this before. You don't necessarily get wet because of the ride, more as you get wet from people on other boats with spray guns. You've got like a small water cannon, but the interactive targets, some of them shot back. There were water blasts that shot up and got water on you. It was a cute ride. It was a fun ride. If you pay attention when you're walking through the line, and then you remember when you get on the boat, if you angle the guns high enough, you can shoot people not only on other boats, but also people in line who are not on the ride yet. But I enjoyed the hell out of it. After that, we were still drenched, and we decided it would be good to sit in a highly air-conditioned theater to watch a show. So that's what we did. And we went to the Untrainable Dragon show. I don't have images of it because I am a respectful theater goer, although they did allow pictures and video. They didn't tell you not to. But that was an amazing show. Next thing we did was Hiccup's Winged Gliders, which is the family coaster. If you've been on Hagrid's, this is Epic's version of Hagrid's, very similar in style. The way they did this was really nice, though. It's a great coaster, and what turned me onto it was how it just weaves through the whole land. It almost does a lap of like half of the Isle of Berk. This was actually on my list of rides. This ranked number 2 on my list. As we've established, I'm a front seat guy. I wasn't picky. I just sat where they put us. This one I think is better towards the back because the show scene parts, and there's 2 show scenes, you're going to see a lot more if you're in the back, just because you have a wider field of vision. The third ride in Isle of Berk is Dragon Racer Rally. We put that off until the second day because at that point it had developed a long wait, and it just wasn't something we wanted to invest a lot of time in. So we moved on to, drumroll, Dark Universe. Even at first impression in the daylight, holy crap, this blew me away. It's beautiful. It's foggy, and even in direct sunlight in Florida, it's just like, wow, this is ripped straight out of Universal's legacy. The signage, I was big on the signage. There were so many cool signs. Every sign for any little thing blended in so well to the atmosphere. It was crazy. I'm going to gush about this land more later. When I was going into Epic, there were 2 rides that really I was the most anticipated for. This one, Monsters Unchained, and Minecart Madness. Minecart Madness, I really had an attachment to from the IP. Monsters and the Universal Monsters, it's more of just a general love of just horror, and this is where horror came from, and it's, you know, that's kind of the basis for where a lot of it started. They got rid of Monsters Cafe, and they're giving us this. I hope it's good. This is kind of how I went into it, with just a generic anticipation. Holy shit, this ride was so good.
Holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit.
I'd start with the queue, and the details, the rock work, the vines, the plants. They imported a lot of real living plants for Darkmoor, and the overgrowth and the bizarre flora that surround this manor. Darkmoor was structured pretty well for sightlines. There's one area where you can see the Helios Hotel behind everything, but it's not backstage or anything like that. It's off in the distance. So when you approach the ride, what you see is Frankenstein Manor is Frankenstein Manor. You can't see any metal show building edges or any other bleed. Like the POV that they established with the scaling and the perspective as you walk up to it they nailed it. But the gist of it is you're going through Frankenstein Manor. Victoria Frankenstein is the great-granddaughter of the original Frankenstein from the first movie, and she is continuing his legacy. She is building the monster bigger, better, safer. No, this ride is absolutely amazing. This whole video could be about this ride. Maybe I'll do a whole nother video about this ride, but it was definitely hands down my favorite.
There's nothing to be afraid of. He is amazing, better than the original. He is the key to our most exciting experiment. For years, I have studied and controlled the monsters that prowl the darkness, and only one remains. I will control my ultimate challenge, Count Dracula. Calm yourself!
It's going to blow your mind. It's like they looked at what tools do we have to work with. You know, this is a cup. You're supposed to put stuff in it and drink it. And they said, well, what if we turned it over and we took 50 of them and built a castle out of these things? I mean, it's just kind of that kind of outside the box thinking is what it felt like. There's not really any new tricks of the trade, but what they did with the arsenal of, you know, effects and things to work with, no one's done before. It was just absolutely that good. And I could ride it over and over again.
The entire queue, you are immersed in this gorgeous piece of property. And they really nailed it with the textures. Yes, it feels a little haunted housey, but it also feels very opulent and appropriately gothic. And it ties in with some of the steampunk feel that you have in other places in the park, because it is gears, it is science, mad science-y, and it's incredibly beautiful.
You had to drag me off of it, kicking and screaming. After we knocked that out, we went over to Harry Potter Land. Spoiler alert, we did not get on Battle of the Ministry. I have heard from semi-reliable sources that I know that since they've been running Battle of the Ministry, they have been nowhere near the capacity that it's supposed to for whatever reason. However, we did explore Harry Potter Land. I'm not the type to get real deep into merchandise or food shops. I'll walk through them if they're heavily themed for sure. You know, like all the window displays and stuff that they had in Diagon Alley. They got a lot of that here in the Paris part of Harry Potter. I am such a loser, I don't even know the exact name, but Paris Harry Potter, we're going to call it. But we browsed around, the immersion, the details, everything over there. Top notch, matches the other parks. The big thing for me, again, shows. So the Cirque Arcanu show over in this area was the other live show in the park. There's only 2 big theatrical shows, so we went and saw it. Technically, it was just as good. Smaller theater, more intimate feeling. I like that about it. It will help if you're a Harry Potter fan, but if you're like me and you're not, you'll still appreciate the spectacle of it, without a doubt. We did meander over to the Battle of the Ministry queue, where they're letting you tour most of the queue. Again, this is one of the big marketing images that you've probably already seen a picture of, even if you're trying to avoid it. And we got to go into the big atrium queue, walk through the Flu from the Flu network, and see that effect. And absolutely blown away. This is where it's like, I wish I could ride this ride. I know it's going to be awesome. But the queue itself, they outdid themselves with the immersion and all the mushy gushy awesome praise I gave the Monsters ride earlier. I would apply that to just the queue. Like, they're setting the stage. I have no doubt that this ride is every bit as good. A lot of people might say it's better. It was huge. It's amazing how much space that they give to this. You go in there and you start thinking with a practical brain or designer brain, man, what is the HVAC build for this? That's a lot. It's like a 50-foot ceiling. I bet this air conditioning costs a fortune, like, it's massive. It really is massive in there, but it looks really, really, really cool.
You're not wrong. The reveal was epic. The tile work in that room was flawless. It was incredible. And the colors they used.
But after we got out of Harry Potter Paris, we went back to Stardust Racers. Now it was time to try the other side. So now we did the yellow side of Stardust Racers. We waited for the front row again. So we had equal comparison, which side we liked better. And honestly, despite the heavy rain, I liked the green side better. I think it did feel a little bit more intense. When we got to the dueling elements, I missed the other train most of the time. I got a couple of glimpses of the nose of it, but I think it was far enough behind us that the areas that really made a big impact on that ride just didn't come through this time. And I think it was more the racing element of us being ahead and less that the yellow side is worse than the green side. I feel like this is an inconclusive test, and I'm just going to have to ride it more to decide which one I like better. Well, it's getting later in the first day. Some of the wait times on the big stuff was getting a little lower, so we headed back to Mario Land to do Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge.
We get these cool little visors that make everybody look like they have black bangs. And then you get to go around and shoot at things. And it's so much fun. But overall, this is probably one of the best experiences I've ever had in a theme park, honestly.
By this point, we had, I think, less than an hour left till the park closed. But the important thing is it was dark. So there's only one place to go.
Darkmoor!
We headed back over to Darkmoor, really just to explore it during the night. That's what we wanted to do, was just see the land, in the dark, and we did that. And then coincidentally, Curse of the Werewolf was at like a 5-minute, 10-minute wait. It was almost a walk-on, not quite. I didn't really have expectations for this, but it was underwhelming, to say the least. The queue was really well done. Classic Werewolf everything. The station where you load and the braking area where like the ride ends were also really well themed and had story elements. I was expecting more of a show scene in that center building, but there's not. It looks like it's pretty detailed, decorated in there, but you rip through it so fast you can't see anything. It's really, really short. And so just not my cup of tea. But that was it for day one. We shut the park down. We kind of meandered out and called it quits. And on day two, which was a Monday, I was kind of hoping that it would be less busy. Being a weekday, I think it was more busy. It felt more crowded. The morning did not start with rain, so that may have been a really big factor. But we got our early access hour for the hotel guests. We went over to Mario Land to try to get a jump on Minecart Madness, but it was unreal. The line extended out of Donkey Kong Country into just Super Mario Land. I mean, beyond overflow, like it was packed. So we opted to go do something else. We wanted to go back to Burke. Isle of Burke is absolutely the biggest land. It's got the most stuff to do, the most space. And again, it doesn't matter if you're familiar with the dragon movies. It's just a fun place to be. I don't know how else to put it. It's visually pleasing. It's upbeat. The characters are fun. The color scheme is fun. The textures, everything they use just puts you in a positive mood. So we headed back over there because we wanted to do my second favorite ride, Hiccup's Wing Gliders, because that's a popular one. It gets a long wait. So we rope dropped it and got in with not much of a wait at all. And then we bounced right over to Dragon Rally Racers, the other ride there that we hadn't done yet. This was just a ride system that I was curious. You do have control when you move the wings up and down. You can actually tilt and spin yourself. The downside is that it's a pretty short ride, so there's a little bit of a learning curve to figure out how much movement you have control of. And then by the time you're like, I got it figured out, and then the ride's over, they're bringing you back down. So that was a little bit of a bummer, but I did get some good movement out of it. And for an open air queue, it had a lot of cool set pieces and theming that, you know, you're basically learning to ride a dragon, but this is like their mock-up, you know, made out of like wood and ropes and stuff, and you're kind of on it to practice. So it was really cute. Lots of cool stuff in the line. After that, we headed back over to Mario Land, and we knew we were going to bite the bullet for Minecart Madness sooner or later. That was a ride I was not going to miss, and so we hopped in line because it said 90 minutes when we got over there. This 90-minute posted wait actually ended up being 2 hours and 10 minutes. I clocked it. The queue is amazing. I was a little blown away that throughout the duration of that wait, I kept checking in the app and it still said 90 minutes. And we got to probably 70, and it was very clear at that point that this is going to be well over 90 minutes. So I don't know exactly what they were doing as far as keeping the app times updated. In my experience, usually they are pretty close to accurate, or they overshoot it and you have less of a wait than they advertise. This wasn't the case on Minecart Madness, so I don't know what happened there.
Legend has it that if it's stolen, an unspeakable fate will befall the land. Or whatever. Keep it together, you lousy parrot.
It was a very unique ride system where they have the real track under the fake track, and that does look cool from the ground when you're watching it. It's really, I think it's more for a first-person thing, because when you're on the ride, I paid close attention to like the track in front of us, and they did a pretty good job. But I think there were some areas where it was just like, it's too obvious to tell what the real deal is, and the fake track, the cartoony-looking track, you know, when it was supposed to be missing, there was still too much there that you could tell, like, we're on this ride. It felt more like a dark ride than a roller coaster, and those are my two favorite types of rides. But this felt more akin to those like pop-up dark rides you would see at like a state fair, county fair, something like that, where, you know, they go through the crash doors and they kind of go around and there's like a scene or a scare gag, and then you see them come out the outside part and they might take a dip and then go back inside, like one of those kind of dark rides. It felt like a really upscale version of one of those, and it was fun.
You didn't tell them about Donkey Kong The Land and how much fun the music is. Honestly, probably the best music in the whole park for jamming out.
From there, we moved on to our reservation at Atlantic, one of the full-service restaurants in the middle of the park. It looks like a giant people aquarium overlooking Celestial Park. New first place winner. Holy crap. Everything about Atlantic was fantastic. The view was amazing. The drinks were amazing. The food was amazing. I had a crab cake appetizer that was stellar. I had a couple of cocktails that you can see right there on the menu. That one's the one I had. And it was very good. The best restaurant experience probably that I've had on Universal property. The service was spectacular, the views, the vibe, the decor. I love the bar up top. I love how the whole thing's tiered down looking over the waterways.
Big shout out to Pam, our waitress. She was incredible. JC, the manager on site, was also awesome. And Ishmael was also super helpful. So shout out to those folks. do not pass on the panna cotta pina colada, or maybe it's pina colada panna cotta, not sure which. That is absolutely wild. So all of their desserts are deconstructed style desserts. I ordered 2 because I wanted to try both of them and I couldn't pick, so I ordered both of them. And everybody kind of had a little of everything. I had their steak. Oh, their Atlantic steak. So it had their signature steak sauce, and also, I forget the term of it, but it's basically potato lasagna. Delicious. Absolutely some of the best food I have had on property. Fantastic. Take the time, spend the money, treat yourself.
Remember earlier how we said it rains all the time in Florida? Well, you're never going to guess what happened while we were eating lunch at Atlantic. Another leisurely afternoon storm rolled through. We didn't care. We just watched it through the window. And then we moseyed on over to Constellation Carousel. At this point in the day, the carousel was the only thing we hadn't done besides Battle at the Ministry, and I think we were creeping up on the last virtual queue drop of the day. Constellation Carousel, I mean, it's a carousel and it's on the water. It'll absolutely be better at night. That's when I want to go back and do at night because the light show around it and everything. This is not your run-of-the-mill carousel. It does not just go in a circle. It goes in a series of circles, and the movement is very gentle and soft. When I say series of circles, don't get intimidated. I don't like spinny, vomity rides, but this is not that. This is calm and fun and playful. Great selection of characters. Again, great musical score through the whole park. She talked about that in Donkey Kong Land. Everything over there is upbeat. You're always in a good mood. You want to party. And the celestial stuff all throughout. The Constellation Carousel is no different. It's a family ride. Kids can do it. Everybody can do it. But I was pleasantly pleased with this ride. This is got kind of like, plus it. We're going to take a carousel and plus it and make it better. And that's what they did here. Then we headed back over to Dark Universe strictly to loiter and to ride Monsters Unchained again. The problem was all throughout lunch, this had become our game plan, and we kept checking the app. Monsters Unchained had been down for quite a while, so we were optimistic that it would open back up. We said, even if it doesn't, this is how we're going to shut the park down. This is how we want to end our stay here. Went over there. It was dusk. It was starting to get dark. We watched the windmill blow up again. We explored the shops. We explored pretty much every nook and cranny. Two really amazing things happened during this period. The first was that we went to the Burning Blade Tavern, and this time it was not shoulder-to-shoulder people. You could actually find a table and sit down and have a conversation and hear yourself and just soak in the vibes of the room, which we did. And I think we were in there for a good, maybe close to an hour. I had 2 or 3 drinks while we were in there. So, it was really nice. We also got to meet a monster hunter while we were in there. I'd heard about the monster hunters, and I was curious what that was like. And so lovely lady monster hunter appeared.
I'll kill whatever monsters are fighting, yeah? Starting over here. We had a bounty. Do you remember this? You said, you kill the mummy, you'll pay me so much coin that I can get out of Dartmoor. Do you remember? Yeah, well, the mummy's dead. I couldn't show you. Mummies, they dissolve after the sunlight hits their skin. They leave just a pack of rags. But what I can show you is that little red cap up there at the top, and if you know anything about a mummy, you know that symbolises it. For that, I'll close my eyes, actually, and open my pockets, because it's going to be a lot of coin. And you can fill the pockets whenever you're ready.
Shit, how broke we are.
I like you. I can't kill someone that makes me smile.
Honesty.
It's hard to smile around here. Yeah, and here's the thing: if you're in the murdering business like I am, you see a lot of death, you see a lot of booze, and it works to my advantage because if you drink enough of that, you get to staggering. If the monster eats you, it gets drunk off you. A lot easier for me to kill.
What's the last monster you killed?
What's the last one?
What's the last one you killed?
I have to say, and it's actually not technically dead. No, do not worry, it's gonna be fine. You see the changeling that's encased in ice up there?
Changeling.
Yeah, technically you can't kill a changeling, they're always accelerated. Some call it the thing because it doesn't exactly take one form. Its cells are always regenerating, so for that, freezing them is the only way to slow that death. As soon as it melts, well, it starts growing its body back, its arms, its legs, and then, well, those teeth that you see kind of busting out, well, they will be busting through your neck, and blood goes everywhere.
We watched that in October, I think.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, not very easy to survive that, and you both did, so you're looking to become hounds?
Sure.
You're not paying me a debt, you're telling me you've seen monsters and you survived it, so clearly you're making it sound like my job's easy. That means the only advice I have is that you have to start on the lowest rank of the hounds that we kill monsters. So you have to go out unarmed. If you survive the night, you get to have a second day of work. And if you die, well, we know what to tell those who loved, that you died for no reason.
No purpose at
Really,
all.
no, but you wanted to, and it was consent. And we all consent before you die. There's a whole
Consent
form
is
you've got to
important.
sign. Yeah, absolutely.
What is your weapon of choice?
Me, longsword or broadsword.
Longsword, broadsword?
Yeah, well, no, I'd say broadsword. It's a bit short, medium length, wider blade.
Is that kind of like a one-for-all, good for most monsters weapon?
I like it because the monster doesn't have to get too close. My name's Brynna Dagger, so many assume it's a dagger, and I can use a dagger just fine, but it means you gotta get really close to the beast. A broadsword keeps him just at the right amount.
Just at arm's reach,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Longsword's a bit heavy, so it gets too close.
Like that.
Yeah. You got weapons of choice? We like weapons here. You're talking to me about weapons. What do you like?
Yeah, well, firearm, because I'm from Texas, but
Oh, so you're just gonna stand back.
flint and pistol, yeah, because broadsword's too close.
Hey, to kill an army of the undead, you put shells in perhaps a different type of gun, a different
Silver,
firearm.
yeah.
Exactly. You get salt or silver in those bullets.
You get it.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Trust me, I've hunted with all kinds. In fact, there's a harpoon up there. Many
Is
have
there?
called a great white shark. Yeah, everyone calls him, what is it? Jaws. I didn't kill him. But did you know that the one who did, he's an honorary hound, so we hold it up right there. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And that's your fact of the day. It's true as well.
Well, thank you.
Of course. You should thank me. I've done a whole lot. You don't even know. Tonight, I'll kill everything so that you
Next
can
round's on
survive.
me.
I got a long tablet there, to be honest with you.
The two things I noticed about this character were that they were dressed down. They did not have a ton of detail in their costume. It was a very basic costume. And I kept asking her questions about stuff, and she had an answer for every single thing. A good answer. It wasn't like she was, just BSing me or anything. This was a well-rehearsed character, and I mentioned the dress down part because something that I learned long ago is that if you're improv acting like these people are, you're socializing with an audience, you have to be as good as your costume. And if your costume is incredibly over the top, crazy detailed, everything on you has to have a story because people are going to ask, and you have to know it, and you have to be on the spot with it, especially when these are more generic type characters that you don't know from a film. So everything is new and exciting, like, oh, what do you do? I thought that was really, really well done because it is kind of merging those worlds. It's taking the stuff you do know from the movies, it's set it in this fictitious yet believable area of Darkmoor Village, and now they're introducing background actors, if you will, villagers, monster hunters, and they're telling you these tall tales that just support all the stuff that you do know about monsters roam the land and terrorize people and all that. So I thought that was really well done.
I'm so jealous. I hate the sun. It should be dark. It should be damp. It should smell like this child. Did you hear that? Okay, good. Eigor loves to give compliments. But no. To ease the tension, Eigor is totally fine. They just wanted to smell Igor's cologne.
Oh, okay.
It's called Drop Dead.
It's alluring.
Yes. Little too alluring. They were saying, Eigor, we have to take a step. Oh, that's so good. I was like, I know. Let me get away from you while you were coming at me.
All right, that's good. I was worried.
very gross. It's making it look very bloody.
Don't worry, don't worry. You know, I can remove that emotion from your bite. I can get rid of the fear response.
That'd be
And it seems to help you. I'm not scared of anything. Ah! She looked at me for fun. What do we have in the bags? What are we taking from Darkmoor? I don't care about Harry Potter even. It's never been.
I was hoping for an Eigor. They didn't have it.
No, Igor's one of a kind.
Oh, okay.
The bride, she's just annoying and dumb.
Yep, more bride here.
Right? Oh my
Bride.
God.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
more
you
bride.
need to have better taste.
I did get. A large manor.
Yes. Okay. Yes. A puzzle. Yeah, the manor is a bit.
And it glows.
Oh, yes. Isn't that the manor is puzzling, but it's quite easy. It's quite easy once you go through.
Yep.
Yes.
It was very nice.
That is not how I would describe it, but to each their own ideas.
They look complex and amazing.
Eh?
They look complex.
It's a little complex, but we try to keep it pretty.
A lot of bodies.
Not enough. We need absolutely more. We have room for 5 more.
Okay. I'll join. Go.
Yes. Okay. I will meet you. I'm going to take the back area,
Okay.
and then Igor's not allowed to go through the front anymore. That's a different incident for a different time. Yes. No. You don't look suspicious at all. It's not like I could tell exactly what you were aiming at. Igor's very observant. Who are you?
This one was a little bit different because Eigor is straight out of the Monsters Unchained ride. And what I was impressed with was how they matched the actor and the voice with the character in the ride. And inside the ride, he appears as both a digital, like on video screen animated kind of character, and then as an animatronic character. And now it's a real life human actor out in the street in daylight. So you've got the same character maintaining consistency in 3 different forms in this area, and they did it really, really well. We also saw the Bride of Frankenstein and Frankenstein in passing. That's not one I interacted with or got close. They looked like they were doing more of a photo op, and that would also make sense because they're kind of the icons of Universal Monsters. Look, they're on the poster right behind me. Case in point. They're also not very vocal characters. Monsters Unchained went back online. We hopped in. We wrote it immediately. And then as soon as it was done, I was happy to get that one last ride. I thought we'd made it. But I was walking down the ramp through the gift shop, and I looked at my phone. And my phone said 8:56. And I said, hey, we got 4 minutes to get back in line. We can do it again. Does anyone want to do it again? Which wasn't a question. It was I'm riding this again. Follow me if you want. And that time was actually the longest wait we had because the queue had just loaded with people right there at the end of the night. And I wasn't disappointed about it because it's a gorgeous queue. Like we actually, like this time we went through overflow queue, like outdoor section that we didn't before. Now waiting for I think 45 minutes, maybe an hour. I don't think it was quite that long. To do this again, the blessing was not just getting to do it for the 3rd time. The real cherry on top was when we were done. Now the park is way closed. We come out into a empty Darkmoor. I mean, it is hardly any people except those of us who are slowly trickling out of this ride, making our way to the front. All right, we're leaving. We're shutting the park down for real. How much longer until we see Monsters Land this vacant again, especially at nighttime? Right now, you only got about an hour of nighttime before they kick you out. This is magic. Thank you, Universal. Thank you. Something I've forgotten until right now, it is empty. If this light is gone, you can see they're probably going to kick us out in a minute. But Danny Elfman did the score for this land. And now that I'm standing here,
It's deserted, it's dark, it's quiet, other than the background music, which is at a pretty high volume for background music, I think. Definitely sounds like Danny Elfman. I love it. You can't hear it. I don't know what I'm pointing at, but it's chef's kiss. Universal nailed it with Darkmoor and the entire Monsters area. Goodbye, Darkmoor. I love you. This is the last I'll ever see it this empty as long as I can remember. Oh my goodness, this is a makeup experience. All right, we're leaving. I don't want to, but we're leaving. But then to take it a step further, we trickled out of Darkmoor and all lands feed to Celestial Park. Celestial Park was exactly the same. Huge, spacious, expansive, well-lit, and devoid of people. Just the stars over and the fountains and plants and gardens in front of us and the background music that they had for that area. Check this out. We're in Celestial Park. The park has been closed a little over an hour. They haven't booted us out of here yet. But all around here are the gates, the portals to every land. And every land has its own spotlight shooting up into the sky, like the Luxor in Vegas. And it's a cloudy night. You can't see the beams, but look, you can see the dots, the different colors. Monsters is the purple one, and Mario is the green one, and the front gate is the white one. Dragons is yellow, and Harry Potter's represented in blue. But those are the uplights coming from all of the portals around the park. It's amazing. Probably from the time we walked out of the ride to the time we actually walked off park property was easily 30 minutes that we could take our time just like soaking it in and get out of there. And that was really, really cool. That was probably one of the highlights of the trip.
Definitely. I said it a couple of times on the trip, and I still really feel it. But the entire park is really set up to be experienced at night. There is light fixtures and lighting in the walkways and all of the planters that also double as seating, which, as a side note, great job, Universal. The entire park itself is just a vision at night. It is one of the most beautiful parks. It's definitely my favorite Universal park now, officially. It's incredibly beautiful. And what I would love to see is if Universal made it more of a nighttime park. Maybe it opens later in the day and stays open later into the night so that you really can experience it, especially in some of those blistering summer days and things like that. I think it would be an absolutely wonderful experience.
I heard one rumor that talked about Celestial Park being set up similar to City Walk for nighttime drinking, dining, dancing, activities, whatever. Now that I've laid eyes on it, like from an operational standpoint, absolutely. Lastly, we walk back to Stella Nova, the closest resort to the park. When you go out to the bus pickups, I thought this was kind of ironic. You know, if you've ever been to the resorts, Universal, Disney, doesn't matter. You go to bus pickup. Stella, being the closest hotel, had the longest walk. Last bus drop is where that one picked up. And when we got there this late, our bus was not there waiting on us. We didn't know how long it would be. So we's like, yeah, we're just going to walk. That was the whole reason we stayed here anyway. And this takes me back to what I said in the beginning of how all of this plot of land that all these hotels and this park are on are kind of out in the middle of it. Because as we walked across the street and over to the hotel, the only thing you could hear was frogs. Perfect ending to 2 days at Epic Universe. With the exception of Battle at the Ministry, I think we had a pretty good spread of experiencing everything. And we spent our last day lounging around the hotel pool. Jake, did you try any other food? You only talked about the fancy stuff. Yes, we did eat at Das Steakhouse. It was okay. Short and to the point. Chicken wings, good. Chicken skewers, not great. We also popped into Mead Hall. We didn't have food. We had, shocker, mead and beer, which is great because we love both of those things. And the atmosphere at both of those restaurants is great for a mobile order quick service. They really did expand the dining for quick service. None of the dining areas felt crowded at this park, which has been an issue at the older parks. That was not an issue. Another thing that they did is the ride lockers. Every ride locker is built into the queue on every single ride. You go in one side, throw your stuff in, come out, pull it out, and keep on going. It is way more efficient. So they have absolutely nailed that system, in my opinion. I hate this part, but my publicist says I should do it. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And if you didn't like this video, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Also, I don't have a publicist. In the meantime, go do stuff. There's so much stuff to do. Epic Universe, as big as it is only a small slice. Go do stuff. Get out of the house. Have a good time. Enjoy life. And I will see y'all soon. Take care, everybody.